everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Little Nemo, the Dream Master, brought to us by Capcom. Little Nemo the Dream Master was released to coincide with the Japanese animated film of Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland, which was based off the Little Nemo weekly comic strip, which was published in the New York Herald and New York American by Winsor McCay from 1905 to 1914. In Little Nemo, we play as Nemo as he adventures into Slumberland, using many different animals along the way to travel through the levels in order to eventually reach Nightmare Land, where he will save the king of Slumberland, Morpheus. So here we go with Little Nemo the Dream Master for the NES. So in the intro of the game, we get to see Little Nemo travel on a large ship into Slumberland, where he's set to have a playdate with Princess Camilla. As you can see, as a nice little touch, the levels in the game are actually called dreams. So we start off in Dream number 1, the Mushroom Forest. We start off the game by running into Flip, who was one of the main characters of the film. He explains to us about how we can use candy in order to ride on different animals, which is pretty much the main gameplay aspect of the game. Throughout most of the levels of the game, we're going to actually have to collect different keys in order to unlock a door at the end of each stage. Finding these keys is a little bit challenging, as you're going to have to use all the different animal abilities throughout each level in order to find the different keys. We first start off by turning into this frog form. Each of the animals controls differently, having different abilities as well as different amounts of health to use. Climb up to the second mushroom to grab the second key of stage number 1. Continue as the frog for a little while, jumping around until you reach this dirt pile. Climb up the large mushroom, grabbing the third key, and then when you reach the bottom, transform out of the frog form and feed some candy to the mole and start heading down. You can stun normal enemies, as you can see, with the candy, but it can't actually defeat them, and you can't jump on them either to defeat them, or else you'll take a hit. Once inside the mole, travel downwards and then head over to the left to grab the fifth of the keys. Transform back into Nemo as you make your way over to the right and try your best to avoid the bats. Thankfully, even if you do get hit, there is a nice little bit of health right next to it for you to collect. Before the waterfall, you can get another one of the frogs in order to head up the waterfall on these platforms. Be sure to be very careful of the little frogs as well as those flying bee-like enemies that are going to pretty much try to get in your way. Over here, climb up this wall in order to get up to the left side in order to collect the 6th and final key located in dream number 1. If you want to, you can transform into the gecko there, but you won't have to in order to complete this level. Head over to the right past him in order to unlock the first door and complete stage number 1. Dream number 2 begins the same way as 1 as we meet up with another one of the characters of the game. Dream 2 takes place inside the flower garden. Be careful of these worm-like enemies that pop out of the ground. Jump up to this ledge so the other one will go underneath of you and throw some candy into the gorilla's mouth. Once you're on top of the gorilla, jump around and be able to actually punch enemies out of the sky. Making contact with some of the enemies can be a little bit troublesome, but if you take your time and know what's coming ahead, it makes it a lot easier. Travel up this tree and we get an introduction to the worst enemies in this game. These fluff-like enemies, as they fall down constantly, will immediately after they get to a certain point fall straight down at you, and they never stop. So you have to be very careful and try to make them come down and drop where you want them to, so they end up not running into you, or you don't run into them while making it over certain platforms or jumps. Once down, change into the gecko form and travel over to the right here. Feed the bee enemy, then drop down and quickly fly back up to the platform after grabbing the key. After you let one of the fluffs come down at you, take that opportunity to fly up and grab the extra bit of health as well as the key from here. You have to be very careful though because those spikes are an instant death if you run into them. As the bee form, fly over here and very carefully fly up just enough to grab the key, but without accidentally running into the spikes on the ceiling. Then drop down into the water and travel underneath the water. Be sure to avoid the tree and make your way over to the right. You'll get an extra life, another key, and then you'll actually be able to jump over a few gaps before making it out of the area. Once outside the area, swim down here avoiding the fish as much as possible as you make your way over to the right. Grab the health if you need it, or just float up to the top, jump out of the water, and feed the gecko. Once on the gecko's back, use his power to climb up the tree and grab the 6th and final key of the level, then head over to the right to complete Dream 2. Dream number 3 takes place inside the House of Toys, and for most of the level you're going to be riding on this toy train. Collect the first 3 keys that you see before jumping onto the train itself. There's more than enough keys throughout the level in order to get enough of them to complete the stage, so you can miss 1 or 2 of them while riding on the train. However, you want to make sure that you have at least 6 by the end. We start off with some toy planes that will fall in front of you for the most part, and they're pretty easy to dodge and see ahead of you. The harder parts of this stage will come from making sure that you're actually able to dodge the missiles as they get dropped from the balloons, as well as making sure you make it over jumps and avoid spikes. Just like the other spikes in the game, they will instantly kill you if you run into them, so you have to be careful when avoiding the flying swirls that come at you. Be careful, and when you get here, be sure to try to jump up and grab the keys while avoiding the planes that are flying around. Next up, we have some ceiling full of spikes that will slowly start to descend. Make sure you're not right underneath of it when you can actually be